Yeah, yeah, she's married in October, the Drake Rafter, they're like the, yeah, Gates, older brother, because you know Gates. Yeah, they've been dating since high school. No, we're in the morning. They're just.
Everyone, please stand for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. We have public hearings to start the evening with.
Okay, so off the record yet. First item under public hearings has to do with some potential rezoning of some lots on West 14th Street, and that's going to be postponed. We're getting a survey, and planning and zoning has hired a surveyor to go out and look at those lots and redraw some lot lines, and so that'll be coming before you soon. And so, okay, on the record. Public hearings on for tonight are items 1B and 1C and 1D on the agenda. As most of you are familiar with, anytime a citizen wants to have some property rezoned from one zoning class to another, they need to go to planning and zoning first, who makes a recommendation to this board, and then this board approves it or denies it. But if it's approved, then this board passes the ordinance to actually rezone the property. Well, these items here are items that planning and zoning wanted done or amended. But it still has to go through the same process. They held a hearing and made these recommendations, and so you have to accept the recommendations and pass an ordinance in order for them to become the law of the town, so to speak. So the first one, I'll just read through them, is to review and consider recommendation of a proposed ordinance to amend section 42620 to require 6-foot side yards in R1 and R2 and 6-foot side and rear yards in R3 for lots platted of record before July 1, 98. To require 6-foot side and rear yards in R3 for lots platted of record since July 1, 98. And to delete item D in 42630 so that detached accessory buildings must comply with all yard requirements. In other words, there will be no exception for detached accessory buildings, which there currently is. And then at the hearing is to review and consider recommendation of a proposed ordinance to amend section 420010 to add the following to the definition of accessory building or use. Accessory buildings shall not be used as guest quarters for any lodging facility, including but not limited to guest houses, bed and breakfast inns, bed and breakfast homes, hotels, and motels. Also, deleting from the definition of bed and breakfast home the portion of the sentence that reads, that do not meet all applicable building codes, and deleting from the definition of bed and breakfast inn the portion of the sentence that reads, that do not meet all applicable building codes. And then D is to review and consider recommendation of an ordinance to prohibit shipping containers in all zoning districts except industrial. And so these proposed ordinances to amend the zoning code are in your packets for this evening, both in the public hearing section and probably in the ordinances section as well. And before we proceed, Mayor, we have some exhibits that city staff has proposed. Exhibit 1 is a notice of public hearing published in the newspaper. Exhibit 2 is an affidavit of publication confirming the notice was published in the newspaper. Exhibit 3 is the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting where these changes were recommended. And Exhibit 4 is the entire Code of Ordinances of the City of Herman, Missouri. And Exhibit 5 is a copy of a letter addressed to Mark Wallace from Lee Regal where he was recommending that these side and rear yard changes be made, basically to make things more uniform and not have no setbacks in some classes and 7-foot setbacks instead of 6-foot setbacks in some areas, just to try to make everything consistent. And so, I think the board may discuss or ask questions if you like, or take comments from folks in the audience.
Do you want to go by each one, or?
I would take them all at once was the intention, really. They're all fairly simple, I think.
Okay, well, I have a couple speaker cards that want to discuss shipping containers, so instead of public comments, we'll do that during this, so, Mr. Bowles, did you want to speak about the containers?
I would.
Would you step up to the podium, please, and state your name for the recorder?
My name is Robert Dole, better known as Bob, and I'd like to talk about the shipping container ordinance. Back in 2017, we bought Alleman's trailer courts, all of his trailer courts, and we're getting rid of the trailers for you. Most of you wanted them out, and we're getting rid of most of them. The court on 9th Street, down by Casey's, we've considered a option, wanted to use that for a storage, since our storage facilities out here are full all the time, and that's centrally located within the city. We thought it'd be a good place to put some temporary storage, and we were wanting to put these shipping containers that are built for separate rooms or whatever you want. We can divide them up to, they're 40-foot long, so we can make a 40-footer. We can make 4 8 by 10s, so on in them. And we'd like to be able to set them in that area, because there are people within the area in that part of town that can't come walk or anything else, may want to store something. And we'd like to have considered putting them out over there on 9th Street. And that was our planning, and now this would prohibit us from doing that. We have other alternatives we could use that area for, but I don't think you would care for what my other alternatives are. I've invested a lot in the city. Now, being outside of Herman, living outside of Herman, I come in and I've invested a lot in the town, and I always look for a place to help the town out, and good supporter. That's why I would like to have help from the city to help us keep being able to support the businesses, the hospitals, the schools by the real estate property tax that we would increase that by. So.
Okay. Well, we thank you for your input. Mr. Sloan, do you have a comment?
So my name is Mike Sloan, Herman Wursthouse, and my comment is also on Section D, review and consider recommendation ordinance prohibits shipping containers. So during seasonal at the Wursthouse, I use refrigerated trailers high up on wheels, and I've done that for 10 years. And I'm looking to not do that. What I am looking forward to do, and this is my question, is to purchase a self-contained refrigerated shipping container to set in that area. So my question is how would this affect my desire to do that? Am I in an industrial area?
I believe you're in commercial.
Commercial. So on a shipping container, it would be more of a, it would not be on wheels, of course, and it would sit low to the ground, and it would be a self-contained freezer, refrigeration type unit, 35 feet long or whatever.
But
So
not a permanent structure.
it could be moved. It would not be tied down. It could be moved. I really don't want it there year round. I have places at my house I could talk to Lynette and move it maybe. But I would rather own something than have to rent something that I have for the past 10 years. So that's my comment.
That would be a question for Mr. Polite. As far as whether that would fall under the same category that we're talking, right?
Now, is it a shipping container or is it a walk-in freezer?
It is, should I get it up there?
Yeah, please. I mean, if it's a truck trailer or one of those containers that you see on cargo ships, or if it is a shipping container that's got refrigeration in it, then I'd say it's a shipping container. But if it comes from the manufacturer, if it's a freezer, I don't think that fits the definition.
So it is a shipping container that is converted to a freezer with stainless steel locks, doors, compressors, self-contained refrigeration units running throughout it. So the body, shipping container, stainless steel added, flooring added, beefed up, refrigeration units, self-contained.
And where would it be exactly?
On my parking lot, my private parking lot.
Off of Gutenberg, behind where the workhouse is.
Right. I would say under this definition in this proposed ordinance that wouldn't be allowed.
So I would ask you to reconsider.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments on any of the public hearing matters? Anybody up here have any input?
Why, I hate to put you on the spot, Dolores, but can you explain why, you're better at explaining than I am with this, why we are writing this for cargo containers also? I know that
Dolores
part of it is
Whalen.
fire code, but
P&Z chairman. The P&Z had discussed this. This was brought to the P&Z by Lee Regal. He asked us to do something because this was an issue in a number of other communities. They were put in, the containers were put in and unsightly. I don't know how else to
Right.
put it. So P&Z, we did discuss it, we did talk to Dave. The P&Z did change it to restrict it just to industrial. We did have commercial included in it, and P&Z felt that it should just be industrial. That's up to your change if you want to include the commercial areas into this container. We were just thinking about, I guess, the aesthetics of the
Container itself.
containers themselves.
Well, and I know in some communities, they actually make homes out of the containers. They'll put 3 or 4 of them together.
Some of them are very lovely, some of them are they are good. Without restricting them somewhere,
Right.
somehow it could be a problem. Do you have anything else?
Dave, with this ordinance, if we approve this circumstances, can you do a variance on them? Or,
You could,
I mean, just like we do on other things, you know, this, because his is only gonna be for a couple months. His would be permanent, but I guess what we would need is a definite definition and what they look like ahead of time before we would approve something like that. But conditional use permit, I guess, is what I'm looking for.
well, and I wasn't clear, like Mr. Sloan, that it's not permanent, it's just temporary, a couple months out of the year, or
I would use it most likely during the fall months. most likely October, maybe the end of October, November, December, maybe first part of January. When we're doing peak season with deer processing and wild game, during the wild game season.
Right. Well, and so that was discussed at planning and zoning, and one or two of the members specifically said, they just mentioned deer season. And I took deer season to mean deer rifle season, and so what was put in here was that you can have them in residential or commercial areas for purposes such as, but not limited to, processing deer during deer season. And it says that you can have them for 30 days. There's nothing legal or magic about the language or 30 days if the board wanted to say 60 days or something different there. That's really up to you guys.
Well, deer season was great, last 4 months. Bob, what's that zone there by Casey's, where those trailers sit? What is that zone there?
That is commercial,
It is commercial?
yes.
Okay.
If you want to know what the unit that we're looking at is one, Herman Lumber Company has one right now behind them that they use for storage.
Right.
So if you've seen that one, that's the style we'd like to put in.
Okay. I mean, these containers, like you said, they can be made into homes, look really great. They're practically indestructible. We don't need them sitting all over town. But specific uses that we approve, I don't really have, especially in commercial areas. I would not have a problem with that. I mean, we may have to do it on a case-by-case basis. but-
And actually, both locations are not something that's like visible to the main thoroughfares that go through town. His is behind a building, his is kind of behind Casey.
You know, it's in a hole back there. If you didn't know it was there, you'd never see it.
Right,
Are you
so-
gonna fence it in too, Bob, and close it off so that, oh,
I wouldn't think so. We don't out here.
so if we do a variance, is that like a yearly variance?
Well, a variance is very permanent and a hassle, frankly, for the property owner, because they would first have to either place it there and be told by the planning and zoning director that it's not allowed to be there, and then they would have to appeal that decision to the planning and zoning director to the Board of Adjustment, and they'd have to pay $300 to go to Board of Adjustment, and then have that hearing a month later and get that decision a month after that. If it's a situation where you think you would allow them in commercial in certain circumstances, we can just say that. Just say that they're forbidden in residential zones, and in commercial zones, they may be allowed by permit only, and the following factors shall go into whether they're going to be allowed in commercial, whether they can be seen from the street, whether, if that's what you'd like to do.
I think
That would be
that
what-
sounds like a good approach to me. I mean, it's up to the
Now
board here to.
I would be more inclined to go along with this if we went that route.
Yes, sir.
May I speak?
Yes.
I was just gonna say, I do have the option, I mean, by your ordinances and zoning, I have placed out there, I can set them out here, because that is industrial.
Yes.
But I wanted them down there because of the convenience of the neighborhood, the people living in the town, around the area, so on, they wanna use it. And that's why we're thinking about there. And, we would just gradually move them in one at a time. There's still 3 trailers on that lot. Whenever they go, then we may keep going in with more of them. But, we just like to start with one, provide 1 or 2 for people to start with. And it like, I think you said that is very, inconspicuous down there.
Right.
Now, you'll be renting out the entire unit, you'll have different rooms in the unit.
It
like-
depends on how we divide them out inside.
Okay.
They have 4 sets of doors on one side,
Oh, really?
yes. And you can make them, split them in half, you can split them in fourths, or you can rent the whole thing.
Well, I can see where that would be very convenient for you and for the people who rent them, so.
Well, the thing is, there we can set them on the paths, or next to the paths, use the paths for walking on, to walk into them, and have a permanent place, a good solid place to set them. Those paths was there, you know, and we can set them right on that path and anchor them down there. They weigh 10,000 pounds apiece, so.
You don't think anybody's gonna run off with one?
No, I don't think they run off.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, if not, that, we're done with the public hearings then.
Yep, we'll authorize it then.
Okay, thank you for everybody's input. We'll move forward. We've got a lot on the agenda, so mayor's report, very short. Good news is, for the city of Herman, our sales tax revenues are up. We just got a report, so this is a very positive thing for the city, for expenditures and so forth. I want to welcome, you know, I like recognizing when we get a new business in town, and I want to welcome another new business. The Riverview Boutique is opened on Market Street, in Mr. Monroe's building there, just kind of south of American Family. She had her opening this Saturday. I went and welcomed her. So it's always good to have another new business in town. Okay, city administrator report.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. I'll just pick up on what you said about the sales tax. Is really fantastic news. Even if we just have an average collection next month, we'll still exceed last year's total. So in the lodging tax is even better. They've already exceeded last year's total with this month's deposit that put them $4,000 over last year, and of course we'll expect a nice deposit next month as well. So that's great news. I've been, you guys have probably heard about the American Rescue Act, and I haven't said much about it yet because the federal government has been really slow in issuing their guidance. But I have attended a couple webinars, and they just sent out an updated flyer today. And so here's what I do know about that. It's that if these amounts hold true, the city's going to receive $431,000. And unlike the CARES Act, the city does not have to apply for the funds. The funds are going to be allocated based on population. So it's not something that we have to prove that, you know, we've spent and get reimbursed for. The state will distribute the funds to the cities that have less than 50,000 in population within 30 days of them receiving the money from the federal government, and it'll be in 2 separate tranches. We could see the first money as soon as mid to late June, again, if the government runs on schedule. And the second one approximately 12 months after that. And the funds have to be spent by December 24. Since a lot of cities are using this money to replace lost revenue, but we have been incredibly blessed and we lost no revenue, right? So we can use our allocation for water, wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure. So we have time to be methodical about this. Again, we don't have to spend the money until 2024. And we can even invest that first chunk of change that we get while we're deciding and planning how we want to spend that money. And I will keep you updated as more information becomes available, but that's good news. I can give you a quick public works report too. Bye, Kim. The whole Market Street project everybody has seen underway, that water line replacement is basically done. There won't be any more street closures or anything required. I spoke to the guys today and they said they have 4 water taps to install, and then next week they'll be testing the line. And then that's basically done. The rest of the patching on Washington Street was completed. And just so people know, Washington Street from 6th to 10th is slated to get new curb and guttering in this new budget year. The park department is trying to keep up with the mowing, but they are getting the pool ready. It's filled, the chemicals are in there, and they've started the backwashing process. And just so you know as well, we're trying to be good neighbors to New Haven, and their new pool is not completed. So we are allowing them to train their lifeguard staff in our pool. And they'll be doing that the week of the 17th. And then our staff will be training the week of the 24th. And the pool will open on Memorial Day, which is the 31st.
Okay, public comments, we took care of those during the part. Okay, we will move on to ordinances.
All right. The first is bill number 2021-16. It would be an ordinance to appoint the city's representative and alternate representative to the board of the Municipal Gas Commission of East Central Missouri. So as everyone knows, we're a member city of this gas commission, and their joint contract, which is the document that governs that board, says that each city shall have a representative and an alternate representative. Our representative was Mark Wallace, and since he's now retired, this draft provided that Tricia will serve in that role, and Kathy would still be the alternate.
All right, do I have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We need to read that the second time, at the time? No?
Bill, next meeting's not for a while,
Okay.
Oh,
unless you want to.
Yeah, Kathy needed me to sign some checks this week.
Yes, please.
Getting mixed signals there.
Yeah, it won't hurt.
Okay.
Okay, bill number 2021-16, an ordinance to appoint the city's representative and alternate representative to the board of the Municipal Gas Commission of East Central Missouri.
I move Bill 2021-16, second reading.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Thank you.
Next is bill 2021-17, an ordinance to amend Herman Municipal Code, section 42630, exceptions to yard requirements.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve bill number 2021-17.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2021-18, an ordinance to amend Herman Municipal Code, section 420.620, yard requirements.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve bill number 2021-18.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next, bill number 2021-19, an ordinance to amend Herman Municipal Code, section 420.010, definitions and interpretations. And we didn't talk about this much or at all during the public hearing part, but basically the gist of this is to ensure that nobody uses accessory buildings as guest rooms, the shed, the garage, this or that. Before, the code said that any accessory buildings had to meet the building codes, and it was a little fuzzy. It seemed to infer that you could use them as guest rooms, but that planning and zoning wanted to clear that up.
We already have several that are that way, and I know of one that's in process, so the one that's in process is, he can finish what he's doing, correct? I mean,
Let's discuss that one.
okay, I'm just saying, I know there's one on Second Street that they're pretty far along, but was a garage at one time, and now it's going to be,
Well, we agreed some years back that as long as they brought them up to building code, they could do it.
right, I'm just saying,
Have they got a permit and everything?
Again, we'll need to discuss it because it's who I'm thinking of. One person was told that they couldn't, and I may be a different circumstance, I'm not sure what you're
by
talking
the
about.
firehouse there in the back. Anyway, I just know that one is in progress, I just didn't know if that would affect that or what, yeah. Any other questions, discussion? I have a motion to approve.
I move to approve bill number 2021-19.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
All right. And then the next one, the next one has to do with the cargo containers. I'll take that one back and amend it for our discussion at the public hearing.
Okay, so we will not vote on that. Okay.
Table that one. And then the next is bill number 2021-21, an ordinance to approve a municipal services and material contract by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Breaks Tree Care for easement clearance between the Clara Eitman Messmer Center and Herman High School.
I move Bill 2021-21 read. First read, sorry.
Motion been made, second?
I'd like to second it, but then can we explain why we're doing this so the citizens know?
Sure.
Okay.
Motion been made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. This is to clear the lines.
Is there gonna be a walking trail through there?
A walking trail, is
Is
that
there a
a?
walking trail somewhere through there?
This is just for our
For
electric
the
line.
electric line.
This is for
Yeah, this is just
Okay.
a safety issue. They have to do so many years, it's so the brush and trees doesn't get up into the utilities.
Okay.
And I have a feeling that this might be time sensitive.
You have a feeling what?
This might need to be second read.
Did you hear that?
Bill number 2021-21, an ordinance to approve a municipal services and material contract by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Breaks Tree Care for easement clearance between the Clara Eitman Messmer Center and Herman High School.
I move Bill 2021-21 second read.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We will move on to resolutions.
All right, the first is a resolution to approve job description for tourism services assistant.
Any questions? Discussion?
Move approved.
I had one question, and actually it's on the job description. It's on the second page underneath other duties. It's the third one. It says represents the city at various meetings. I think it should be represents tourism instead of saying the city in there.
Yeah, HR will probably just copy that over from another one. We can amend that.
I have a question on it also. On the duties and responsibilities, is that like group tours too, that they'd be in charge of group tours?
That will become part of that position as well. We will train those people to do some of those responsibilities, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to make a change there. Is that what you want, represents the tour, Herman Tourism, or?
I
Or we
would
could
think,
probably, you want to delete that line altogether?
Sure.
Yeah, they're not going to represent you at any kind of meetings, those part-time people probably.
They could.
They could, okay, well,
Yeah.
let's leave it in there and then if, as tourism, if you don't mind.
Okay. Anything else? We good with that?
Move to approve.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
All right, next is a resolution to authorize the execution of a contract of obligation with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources having to do with the closure of the landfill in '97 and a 30-year obligation to make sure we have money in reserve, basically, right, Tricia, to handle anything that might come up that needs fixing or remediation at the landfill.
Right. Any other questions? May I have a motion to approve that?
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
And next is a resolution authorizing the issuance of space permits for the MyFest Festival.
Okay, we have a chance to read that. Have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Okay, now we will move on to old business. Mr. Sloan, would you like to have the floor again?
So Mike Sloan, Herman North South, just presenting myself. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding my request for the extension for the music outdoor seating area, permitted area, 234 East First Street.
I talked to the chief, he said they had no complaints about it whatsoever. So I have absolutely no objection to extending it.
Have you
been all outside, or have you had to go inside?
What's that?
Has it been all outside?
Some has been inside, some has been outside. And some of it on the same night, depending on the weather conditions.
So are we extending it how long? Till the end of the year?
I don't know, do we actually have any precedent for this one? Is it just basically a conditional use permit, or what do we have?
We don't have anything per se that I'm aware of. The other places that we talk about outdoor music, they actually have conditional use permits, but this is totally different because he's on city property, so he has an outdoor seating permit. So this is a little.
So what's the proper way?
This is an extension of a what exactly? We're
We
talking-
gave him a 30,
A special permit to have outdoor music in his outdoor seating permitted area.
Because typically restaurant outdoor seating does not include the right to have music within the outdoor seating area.
That's correct.
And so in terms of the length of time, you can do whatever you like, whatever you think is appropriate.
So my request would be through November.
exactly what I was thinking.
This
because it gets
6
cold.
months, and we go 6 months out, that pretty much runs.
Is that
through
November? This is
I'd say to the end of November, that way the season's over. and
Thanksgiving.
It's cold.
So till the end of November?
Yeah, it's up to you guys.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion been made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. There you go, sir. Thank you. Next, any other old business?
If I could, on that same topic, I was talking to Todd today about the Gutenberg intersection, and he just wanted to know if he had permission to proceed with that. I kind of looked back in some of the minutes and we've discussed it, but we want to make sure everybody's actually on board with it. The decorative fence along Unkin's ramp there, and kind of angle down on the east side to keep you from entering the sidewalk from that angle. And then on the west side, he was proposing actually taking one of our nice decorative trash cans that are bolted onto the sidewalk and putting it that end to prevent people from entering. He would like to leave that little narrow sidewalk area there, because even if we took it out, because it'd be a lot of work, and then you'd have to put parking blocks there anyway. So, and then he was even, Susan had a concern about the grate, and he said, he needs to leave it open for water, but he could concede maybe 2 or 2.5 feet be covered right where that fence will meet the grate. Maybe for a little extra safety, he thought he could do that without interrupting the traffic flow. He's looking for a fence that is similar to Worst House, so it'd be more aesthetically pleasing. He's only priced out one place so far. It'll look some more, but it was gonna cost $1,800 for the fence.
Okay.
Well, I'll send the street department, if he thinks that's the way to handle it, and will cure what they want, I'm all in favor of it.
Yeah, I would put it in
Does
time.
that have to get with Unkin? Does he need to be involved?
We did involve him already, yeah.
I'm good with it.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other old business? We'll move on to new business, discuss Vinchester Inn's revocable license for selling souvenir. Good evening.
Hannah Hessler, or, no, it's there.
Yeah, you don't. Nobody's gonna record all that.
Camera.
Okay. I guess the problem is, or has been, when we give this to you, you were supposed to not sell it to anybody off the street, and apparently that's happened, and so.
Okay.
We need to hear from you what your,
Okay, yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, the best of my knowledge, I've complied to the license. So I don't know, did something happen, or why am I here? I'm a little confused.
Someone came in off the street and bought some products from you.
Okay.
and that's against the license.
How do you know that?
Because she showed me what she bought.
Why did she do that? Why did she come to you with a receipt or whatever she bought?
Because the code enforcement officer had checked too, and your license says you won't do it and you broke your agreement. Your staff did.
I guess I'm a little confused, like, about why someone random would, because I only open the gift shop when a guest of ours asks to shop
She
it.
walked in off the street.
Interesting. And then why did she bring it to you? Like, why did she bring you the receipt? I'm just a little
Because
confused
she knew
about
it
why
was
that.
against the license.
It was just a random person who
Well,
knew.
she's not random, she's somebody that lives in this town that came in and bought something.
Okay. I didn't know anything about that. I mean, like I said, my gift shop has about, on average, 10 transactions a month. Like, it's not open unless a guest asks me to open it. It's like it's not even open. It's closed now permanently, so it's not even open. But yeah, to the best of my knowledge, I've complied to that license.
If I understand what you're going to do with your new venture, you're gonna move that to your new venture, the gift shop.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct?
Yes.
So you'll take the word gift shop off that door and move your sign that says gift
I
shop?
guess I could if you want. I mean, if you really want me to, but the door is like always locked. It's never open unless a guest asks. A little weird that somebody just randomly walked in and decided to buy something and brought you
Somebody
the
that-
receipt.
Somebody that knew, so,
It's interesting.
yeah.
But okay, that's fine with me. I mean,
You're gonna have the fancy pheasants, so that'll take care of all that.
yeah. So
Did I understand you properly that you just said it's closed permanently now?
yeah, it's been closed. It's been kind of a bummer because, you know, we have this like great retail space there, and I mean, the license doesn't allow me to sell to the public. So like I said, the only people I know of that we've sold anything to is when a guest says, "Can you look in the gift shop?" And I say, "Sure." And then
So
we
how
open it.
long has it been closed?
A couple weeks, a few weeks. I mean, if a guest asks to buy like a Winchester keychain, I'll sell them a keychain, but it's not like a store that's open. It's not like I have hours and it's open and I'm advertising. Like I don't even advertise it. So it's kind of weird to me that happened, but so be it. I don't need the license, so we can revoke it. It's fine.
Okay, I move to revoke the license.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, well, thank you for
Thank
showing
you.
up, and good luck with your new venture.
Thanks.
Bruce, I had a question about that subject. Can I say something?
Step up there if you don't mind.
I understand if she's breaking the law, okay? But, yeah, I've had a little experience with being an alderman and watched a lot since. And it seems to me that the alderman should probably reconsider their purpose as aldermen. And what I mean by that is, and this is a good example, we have capable city staff to take care of certain problems. Your all's job is pass ordinances, resolutions, whatever. Not to police the town, or if there's a problem, you find out who to take this to and have them solve that problem. You're not up here to solve these little nickel-dime problems. You just waste everyone's time. If you're breaking a law and someone comes to you and say, hey, this person's breaking a law, we have the police department. If we got a problem with the city streets, we have a street director, we have a city administrator. Those are the people that take care of these problems, not to waste your guys' time. That's their job. And so I just want everyone to stop and think, if there's a problem, is it your job to solve it? Or is it the city administrator's job? Or the chief of police job? You know, that's all I want to say about that.
All right. Thank you for your
Thank you,
input.
Tom.
Thank you for your input. Any other new business? No other new business, we'll move to motions. Have a motion to approve the last minutes.
So moved.
Motion's been made, second.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Invoice for payment,
Move we pay the bill.
motion's been made to pay the bills, do I have a second?
One second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Pay the bill. See, conditional use permit renewal for the concert hall barrel liquor sales for outdoor consumption. I have a motion to approve the renewal.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Reappoint Dolores Grandeman to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
So moved.
Motion's been made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
I didn't want to take off running before we got her back in.
Festival event application for the Masonic Temple Association food sales at 910 Washington Street, May 15th, 2021.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
So carried. Report. We
So
now
there
need
is-
to,
I'm-
oh,
Yes,
that's right.
thank you. We have
We had
that
an
extra-
addition, I'm sorry. Homestyle Eats for May 14th and 16th. Food sales at Crown Suites private parking lot.
Move to approve.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor Cox, I also, Bob Kerber was just emailing me back and forth right before the meeting. I mean, as you know, the Muskrat Society, is a 501c3, but it is the city's vote. They should have filled out a festival event application, but didn't, and I guess as an afterthought, they were trying to think of how they could display, the Muskrat vote over MyFest. He first suggested down there by the amphitheater, either on Gutenberg or 4th Street, which there's gonna be all those vendors there needing that parking space right by the amphitheater, so I don't know if you wanna do that or not. He then suggested the Sesquicentennial Park, the concrete pad. I didn't have a chance to ask anybody from the park department or anything like that yet. I'm not sure, depending on the condition of how, the ground, if it's wet or not, if that's an issue. Do y'all have any thoughts on that?
That's a concrete pad down there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Getting to it if it's wet. The only, I mean, it's a boat, right? Why not well, no, I mean, I didn't mean that sarcastically. I mean, why not put it on the riverfront?
But it's gotta be somewhere where it can be
Like,
watched. I guess this is the best term for it, so no one happens.
Well, I'm sure they'll be with it, don't you think? Or-
yes, it'll be attended.
Will they leave it at night or?
By that big
I
paddle
think
wheel
it's
down
just
there on the
one
riverfront, it
day.
would probably look pretty cool.
But that's what, I mean, that's just an idea,
I can suggest that.
So I guess you need something, we need to give them permission to put it where they feel.
Well, it was kind of last minute, so, I mean, I can suggest the riverfront. If they don't like that idea, is the Sesquicentennial Park a deal breaker? Can you ladies think of anything that would prevent that?
Yeah, there's nothing going on there as far as I know. The JCs are gonna be up at the big park, so.
I mean, okay, so how about I check with the park department, if they don't have a problem with it, I can tell them Sesquicentennial is okay, otherwise riverfront?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah, any of those places I'm looking at. Okay, now we move on, we have to go into closed session. Make a motion.
I make a motion that we go into closed session for the purpose of dealing with matters relating to legal actions, cause of action, litigation, or privileged communications between the city's representatives and its attorneys, section 610.021, and hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting employees pursuant to section 610.0213, revised statutes of Missouri.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, we need a roll call vote.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? So moved. We are now into closed session. Thank you everyone for coming.
She's coming to hit me because I ordered back in.
No.
It's going to our draft.
Yeah.